delight and to behold, he shall come, saith the Lord of hosts. But who may abide the day of his coming? Who shall stand when he appears? For he is like a refiner, fire, and like fuller's soap. And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. And he shall purify the sons of Levi, purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto the Lord an offering in righteousness. So here's God trying to bring his people back in these first 3 verses. And Judah, the offering of Judah in Jerusalem, will be pleasant unto the Lord as in the days of old and as in former years. So right now we have a kingdom that's getting ready to be divided, or is divided, to the north and the south. And God is telling them that the messenger is coming, but he's coming to purify. He's coming to change. He's coming to make you right with God. A refiner is someone who separates in pure metal, and he could heat it until it burns off the metal, which was purified or refined. So it takes out the impurities. And in the refining in the Bible, most of the mentions of refining in the Bible are for silver. Smelting leads, so, it's blowing hot air over the surface of a melted metal, and usually did this. The refiner's tools include a crucible or a furnace, bellows, or a blowpipe. He usually sat and carefully watched for the right time to let the melted metal run off. But once again, we're talking about metals. We're talking about minerals. God is talking about his people. God is saying to you that you need to be refined. You need to change. And the one thing I got out of this lesson before I go any further is God says, I haven't changed. And that's the main course of this lesson. We are the problem. We are what is keeping us from God, because we're not ready. We're not even close to being ready, because we can't even get along with our neighbors. We can't do the things of God, which God's will is, to feed the hungry, needy, to take care of the sick, the old, to take care of people who have less than, to put value on the least, as Jesus says, when you help the least, you do my work. Help the least. God is saying not only are we different from that, but we also don't even treat the people who work for us. So not only do we have to refine our inner, because it's the Rev just preached about our heart, we have to refine our outer, because that's what people see. And God is telling you that you're not ready. You cheat in this world right now. Why are we not ready? Is because it's so much deception, so much going on, that the message of God was so simple and we missed it. If you do the will of God, that's all you can do. That's all. But you cannot let this world manufacture you into you change that is against God's will. That's what this whole lesson is about. Your whole attitude towards him has changed. That's why he's not here. He's waiting for that change to come from within us, to show him that we are prepared as a people to move forward into his kingdom. But even if we don't, he gave us an intercessor, so that if you have lived a righteous life, or you have lived close to God's will, his son has taken away everything from you. God hasn't changed, but his people have changed. We cheat him in tithes and offerings. We reluctant. The story they have in the focal verse, the aim for change. He couldn't believe that he was hearing what he was hearing from the pulpit because they were asking for money. But they were asking for money for backpacks. And he's given his tithes, but he says faithfully, but he has a grudge. You can't give grudgingly. That's not the will of God. When you give freely. When you give because it's from your heart. So why should we be fighting to not give when God has given us so much? We have to learn that the things that are happening in our lives are happening because we as a people, God's people included, are not united. We have to get on a united front. We have to be on one accord. We come there and we say all these things and we want to do all these things, but then we go out that door into the world, and the world you trying to live in, not God's world, but the world you trying to fit in. It's cheating you. It's taken away from your righteousness. It's taken away from your faithfulness. It's taken away from your heart. And that's all God, someone told me that's all God wants is your heart. Keep your heart pure. It says in the Beatitudes, only the pure of heart will see God. We don't all have the pure of heart. We have other things that we do that can help God. We can help his people. But the main thing is we're not worthy. We're not ready for change. And Malachi warned the people. It's no good. You come into this country and God gave you everything, and then you tried to change the rules of the game. Instead of God's way, you trying to make the will of God your way. It's time for us to just look back and look at ourselves. That's what this lesson is saying. Look at ourselves not only individually, but how we pray, how our churches are run, how they have taken away the spirit of giving and tithing as a punishment. But someone once told me that if you give from abundance. You give from what you have. And sometimes what you have is enough to help someone. If it's nothing but a kind word, if it ain't nothing but an attitude adjustment, it's just that God's people have to look within. They have to look among themselves. And it starts with as an individual. This lesson was great, but it points out the one thing that we fight, and that's change. God hasn't changed, but we as a people have changed. In this lesson today, it just points out that when you hear it and you know it, then that's a sin. When you don't practice it, that's a sin. So our covenant can be made pure and perfect if we just do one thing: follow the will of God. They asked Jesus, what is the greatest commandments? And he says, love God with all your heart and love thy neighbor. Those are the greatest. The rest, they're there, but love God. If you love God, then you wouldn't do some of the things you would do. You would be more, you wouldn't be neglectful of the truth. The people was indicted for their lack of faith, which was shown in the neglect in worship, tithes, even their offerings was no good. And the officials were not adequately provided for, so it meant the worship was not continuous, therefore not a priority among the people. And Malachi condemned this attitude and announced that God's messenger would come to refine his people so they could worship him in righteousness. Once again, you see right there in that the messenger of God in the index, it tells you right there that we are not worthy. We're not pure enough. We need this attitude adjustment, but most of this adjustment comes from what that word is. It's called complacency. It's called, in our times, it's called going along to get along. You have to accept the world as it is, not as it is, but you have to accept God's world. And the world God has and the world we living in is totally different. We are to be ambassadors for God. We are to stand up for righteousness. The one thing we have going for us is speak the truth. No matter where it falls, speak the truth. Because some people, they're afraid, they see it, but they won't say nothing. And the greatest thing that you can have is to speak up on what is not right, what is wrong, to speak up against injustice. The people of this day and age, they were just complacent. They had no justice. Everybody was hypocrites. The ministers, as we learn, they couldn't, because of the tithing, they had to spend their time doing other things other than teaching and training the people. So, like I said, the spirit of giving is a heart thing, and it only comes from your heart. If you give any other way and it's not a heartfelt gift, it's not a gift of responsibility, it's a gift of helping. It's a gift of giving what you have and sharing it. Because as a unit, as a people, the community thrives better when the community is working together in harmony for peace, for justice, for the understanding that these are things also that God wants, but he also wants us to work on how we treat people, work on ourselves, the selfishness, the asking God for things that are impossible for him to give. And then when he don't give it, you're all worried. Well, what did I do? Once again, I'll say it, and this is the best thing out of this lesson. He has not changed, but we change by being unfaithful to his ordinance, and his covenant with the nation has strayed from his covenant. The nation, his people have been disloyal to God. He says if they return to him, he will return to them. The people